Hello, everyone, and welcome to Arizona Rising, the Phoenix Real Estate Podcast. My name is Andre Lenartz, and with me, as always, is Terry Cass. And this is a podcast regarding the metro Phoenix area real estate market and everything in between. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Arizona Rising, the Phoenix Real Estate Podcast, everything with real estate in the Valley. And I am Andre Lenartz, and I'm with, as always,
Terry Cass.
And today we have a great guest. His name is Gregg Kafka, and he is a principal at the Lee & Associates, and he does commercial real estate. Is that correct?
That's correct. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. How do we know Gregg?
Oh, I don't know. I'm doing smoking a lot of deals with his father.
Oh, yeah?
Development, apartment. Yeah, that's how I know him.
Who's your dad?
Rick Kafka.
Rick.
Who's been on
the show. And
yeah.
I was about to say, I think I know Rick.
Yeah. And he wants to be paid. Rick told him that we should pay him to be on, which is not going to happen, Rick.
So Gregg, you want to start with your background and just like where you're from and where did you go to school?
Yeah, absolutely. I like to joke around and tell people I'm one of the four locals. I've lived here my whole life. As you guys learned about my father when he was on, he moved here in '79. And that was when I was 2 months old. So I grew up here.
Well, you're not
No.
a local born here.
All right. See,
You moved here at 2?
At 2 months.
So
yeah.
you're not a
I
local.
can't claim born.
You're not a local.
I can just claim raised.
Okay.
You're close.
Andre was born here.
Yeah, born and raised. Where'd you go to high school at?
I went to Brophy.
Oh yeah, I went
College prep.
to Central, right across
right across the canal.
right across the dirty canal. Thought I recognized you. I'm like, I know that guy.
Yeah. No, I've lived here my whole life. I've got family all over the country. I've yet to find a good reason to leave. I love it here.
Yeah. Did you go to ASU?
I did.
Yeah,
I
same
did.
with me.
Yes.
What'd you major in at?
So that's where it got a little bit of fun, and that's where my dad likes to joke around with me because there's a lot of people spend 7 years in college and they're called doctors.
Right.
Decided to change majors from business to construction management. So I ended up with a Bachelor of Science of Engineering and Construction Management.
Really?
Nice. Yeah, I took the 7-year route too.
All right.
Well, maybe I should be having you, my partner in my development, and not your dad. So with that background, and how did you make it to Lee & Associates, which actually I've done business with, and you work with Todd Braun over there, who's
he's
been doing apartments longer than mostly anybody here in the Valley.
He sits about 8 feet away from me. And I kind of fell into commercial real estate a little backwards. As you know, I said my background was construction management, so graduated from ASU and went on to work for Opus West Construction.
Yeah, I know
for
Opus.
about 4.5, almost 5 years, and then did a little stint with Westcor and Macerich after that, doing tenant improvement and mall redevelopment. And that's kind of how I found out about brokerage for the first time, was redeveloping these malls as part of the tenant coordination department. And I had to review all the budgets that would for these new deals that would come to me. They'd hand me the lease and say, here's the lease, here's when they need to be open, here's their budget, help them get open on time. I'd put my pro formas together, and I'd always see this line item at the bottom that said commissions. And then I'd go, how do I get to be?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's what I did too, from property management. Like, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm. Exactly right.
So did you work on the big malls around here, like Fiesta, Metro Center, Christown?
So I was actually originally hired by Westcor to do the first expansion at the Scottsdale Fashion Square.
Yeah.
Where Barney's and everything was, but then that got put on delay. So I ended up being kind of a development guy, tenant improvement guy for hire, where they shipped me out to several other malls around the country. So I did a stint up in San Rafael, redeveloping a mall called Northridge up there.
I know that mall. I used to work in that area.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Sausalito.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, right there. And then also did it in Walnut Creek, redeveloped the mall there, Broadway Plaza, and then eventually made my way over to the corporate headquarters in Santa Monica Place and redeveloping that mall. So all in all, spent about 4.5 years traveling to redeveloping those 3 malls before I decided that I wanted to be home.
Yeah.
Especially as being a newly married when I first started that job. So the missus also got really tired.
And how did you find or pick Lee & Associates?
Through my father.
Really?
So, yeah, it was. I'm partners over at Lee & Associates with Gregg Kafka and Andrew Cheney.
I know. I've heard of Greg. I don't know Andrew.
Yeah, Craig. He's been one of the founding principals of the Lee and Associates Arizona office. My dad just happened to be on his email list, email blast, and he sent out a blast one day saying, "Hey, my young runner has quit. I'm looking for someone that wants to get in the commercial real estate world." And the rest is history.
Wow.
So he made the introduction, and the funny thing is that it being a big town but a small world. Craig Kafka, when he first moved to Phoenix from Chicago, at that time my father was working for president of Gosnell Development. Actually gave Craig his first job as a real estate broker leasing space for Gosnell builders.
Everybody knows everybody.
Yeah.
And you're still at 32nd and Camelback.
Correct.
And they've been there a long time.
Yeah.
Haven't they?
Yeah, we've been there since 90.
Yeah, because I've been to the office
so.
a couple times,
Mm-hmm.
so for dropping off or picking up something deals over the years.
Oh yeah, it's been there a long time, and it's about to get a major facelift.
Okay, and you specialize in office,
Correct.
which is good because we really haven't talked to anybody. We talked to a retail guy, like it's somebody that does major malls around, so that was leasing. So that was kind of interesting. I cover the gambit of multifamily because that's what I do. So we've had plethora of guests, but I don't think we've had anybody on that, specializes in office.
Yeah, and I'd say probably 90% of the deals that I do are office related. I do a little bit of industrial and a little bit of retail.
Okay.
As well,
I mean, I hate to say, but because of the location and especially we've done a lot of business with Leveros. Because we bought an office from them in Old Town. They sold it. We bought another one. They just sold it. So I just, who's there? It'll come to me. But, they have their groups there and we work with them and I like them.
Yeah.
And they do smaller offices. We were, owner occupied.
They've carved out a great niche for themselves.
In that area. Yeah. And my partner, Ian, who is overseeing the broadcast, he wanted that. That's the location he wanted. So yeah, we've been doing a lot of business with it. I actually owned an office.
Oh, nice.
I bought, you probably know it, 20th Street and Indian School. If you just drive north, and on the left-hand side, there's that little office strip right there, right north of that apartment there.
Yeah, the ones that look like the French Chateau. Or is it the?
No, it's on the west side of 20th, and if you go north of Indian School, it's the first office there.
Oh, gotcha.
Real small. I bought it. I mean, when I was with Caston Long, myself, Jim Caston, and Jan Long bought it. I ran it. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Learned about leasing and stuff like that, and then I actually sold it.
Oh, nice.
And I was an apartment specialist, and we did great. Luckily, we bought it, at the low time, sold it at the high, made great money, and that was kind of my first exposure to office.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
It's a different animal for sure.
Yeah, wow, is it? Leases are just intense. The negotiation of the leases, they really are. And I assume the bigger the client, the more intense the lease.
That's actually kind of the funny thing is that usually, whether it's a 50,000 square foot lease or a 1,500 square
Same
foot
thing?
lease, it's a lot of them are the same. And believe it or not, a lot of times the smaller deals are the more labor intensive ones and harder to get done because you're typically, it sounds awful to say, but you're usually dealing with a less sophisticated, it's less sophisticated client at that point, and so. They may need a little more extra hand holding.
Yeah, there's just a lot more to a lease for an office or an industrial or a retail because there's the tenant improvements, there's the common areas, there's what are you paying for and how long and rent increases.
And operating expense increases.
And they're longer. They can be 1, 2, 5, 10 years where our leases with a year, 6 months. Very rarely have I seen past a year. We don't even want to go past a year because it's not to our advantage. So
yeah.
So all right. So before we came in, I was stating how challenging the office market has been starting April 1st, and you said, "Yeah, I seen the same articles, but as with multifamily local, we're not experiencing it in Arizona to the degree that supposedly the rest of the country is.
Correct. Yeah.
So tell us about that.
I think Phoenix is a great market to be in because what was considered one of our downfalls is now becoming one of our strengths. It's the sprawl. It's kind of the urban spread that we've seen where after COVID or during COVID and after COVID, all the major metropolitans that have high density, like Chicago's, the New Yorks, the San Francisco's, they've all been hammered with people just wanting to get out of the city and buildings being attempted to refurbish and from office to multifamily or hotel hospitality. We have just an abundant supply of suburban office where all the freeways and can find good office space, and you're not on top of each other, which is what
they like that better.
Like. Yes.
Okay, so what's the difference in occupancy in like Chicago, New York, San Francisco versus the Phoenix metropolitan area?
Oh, no problem. So as far as occupancy goes, this isn't a percentage of leased space, but of actual building occupancy. The average pre-pandemic was about 73 to 75%.
Occupancy, paying tenants. I like to say, because you could have a physical tenant, but they're not paying. I don't call that occupancy.
Well, when I'm saying occupancy, I mean people that are actually showing up every day. Like you could have a 90% leased building, but 70 to 75% of the people are showing up every single day to the office.
Okay.
And then we went to the pandemic side during the quarantine, and shortly after the pandemic, that plummeted to about 30% or less.
That actually showed up to office.
That actually showed up, and actually in some cases it was down in the teens in some of the buildings that we leased.
Wow.
Now we're right into about that 60 to 65% occupancy of people coming back in.
Now it's growing.
Yeah, so people are coming back to the
and
office.
We talked a little bit just because I'm trying to hit when you hit a point. Mm-hmm. You were saying it's growing and companies are almost demanding people come back, and you're saying there might not, because I was saying. Correct. You're familiar with CIM? Mm-hmm. Okay, so both my daughters work there.
Okay.
In different departments. They love it. And they have so many days they're supposed to be in the office and so many days not. And one of them is, I'm not going to mention name, one of them's there more than the other one, and one of them's there less than the other one. Mm-hmm. One of them doesn't care. One of them, it's very important that she gets the time away. Are you seeing that all over pretty much, or are you seeing the trend? No, these companies are saying you're coming in now.
Yes, I'm seeing that trend. And basically what's been happening is regionally. So in Phoenix, if you're a local company or a regional company, that's not a small, didn't really slow down that much and have rapidly told people come back to the office. We want to see you coming back in. If it's a national Fortune 500, Fortune 100,
giving a little more leeway.
They're giving a little more leeway and not coming back as quickly. But I've always said that when it comes to these Fortune 100 companies, all the CEOs, as great as they are, they're also lemmings. They're all sitting on the sidelines waiting for one of them to make a decision.
Right.
And then once that first guy or gal makes that decision.
So you're talking like an Apple, a Google, a big company.
Exactly.
You think they're all just kind of hesitant to say, hey, you got to
Well, and it started. So as a month ago or so, Jamie Dimon came out and said, everyone back to the office.
That's Chase.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody back to the office 3 days a week. And lo and behold, the second he said that, you start seeing.
My sister-in-law works for Chase. Mm-hmm. And yes, she said, I met with her last week, that they're saying they're going to come into the office more. And she's fine with it. Actually, she said, I'm looking forward to it. I'm getting tired of working at home. I like the social and the interaction.
It's hit or miss. Some people like social. Some people like the freedom of not going into work.
Yeah, well, the people that can't stand being at home with or without kids want out. The ones that like the idea of being there for the kids and for things that happen at the home, they want to stay. And it's hit or miss.
Yeah, it's also the commute too. I mean, gas is outrageous these days.
Yeah, some of them commit pretty far too. Yeah.
Well, and that's been one of the fun things about office space since the pandemic is you're seeing a lot of building owners and companies demand more amenitized buildings. So ownership groups are putting in tenant lounges that have full media, games, everything you can imagine, common area training rooms. there's a couple buildings that have put in dog parks.
Right.
They're
Bring food wagons in, offer special foods during the week to come down for lunch,
trying
right?
To incentivize people
Yeah.
to come back to the office.
Okay.
That's a total Facebook kind of agenda. When I visited Facebook, their whole campus is let's have workers stay on campus, not want to go home. Here's your like Circle K snack bar, your food truck, your dog park, your bike fixing shop. Like they had everything. They wanted people just to stay on campus and not go home.
Yeah.
Okay, question, because you brought something up, and I'm just interested. Okay, so during the pandemic, most offices shut down, and I'm assuming there were some issues with some companies not be able to pay the lease. So how did that settle out? I'm just curious in the office. Retail, similar, but office is not as bad.
Yeah. So it's actually very interesting that you bring that up, because that's the common and the biggest misconception and the disconnect.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking
between
you.
tenants and landlords.
Okay.
Is tenants are out in the market right now thinking, oh, these buildings they walk around and they see them half occupied, even though they're leased. They see them half occupied. They're like, there's nobody here. They should be giving me a great deal. They should be cutting their rate, $20, and we should be getting this place. They should be paying us to come here.
Right.
Whereas when it came down to actually paying the rent, tenants have paid the rent.
Did they?
It was through PPP loans and government support, or whether or not they just had the cash reserves. I mean, a lot of productivity during the pandemic actually initially increased a bunch.
Right. So the companies made money, so they just kept paying.
Yeah.
Where retail, no customer, no money. So I should have probably hit the other guy up. How did you? Well, I guess what they did is they said, all right, we'll put it on the back end versus we don't want you out. We don't want to just pay us on the back end or a little bit each time. Right.
You're exactly right.
Yeah.
So the few companies that did have some issues that needed some leeway, it was like, okay, how long do you need to be able to get through this? And like, well, we need 6 months. Okay, let's give you 6 months of free rent, and we're going to tack that 6 months onto the end of your lease.
Right, just push it, right?
Exactly. And so that was done a lot.
Now we talk. So what is the vacancy or occupancy rate in Phoenix? You said it's pretty good that you're leasing them as quick as. Actually, I agree with you.
It's decent right now. So I mean, pre-pandemic in 2019, we were kind of at one of our low points. We were at about 17% occupancy. Phoenix has always been a high occupancy.
You mean vacancy?
High vacancy market.
Right.
So we were about 17% vacant. Since then, we've slowly been creeping up. Right now, we're at about 22% vacant, and the 20-year historical average for us is right around that 20%.
Yeah,
mark.
you always have a higher. We're at about 5. Maybe it's 8. But your office is always just a little higher.
It's always.
What about TIs? Have you having to give more TIs?
That's been the most fun part of this recovery, and TIs have gone crazy.
Okay,
they're
that owners have to give tenants.
Ridiculously expensive.
Okay.
So that's going on with the disconnect between tenants and landlords I was talking about before. That's the other one.
The TIs
is TI. So it used to cost. My team, we do the leasing for Sky Song at the corner of Scottsdale and McDowell. When Sky Song 3 and 4 came out of the ground from Shell, cold dark Shell, we were doing turnkey TIs for $65 a square foot. That got you really cool space, an exposed ceiling, lots of glass. That same TI today is now costing around 110 to 130.
Almost twice.
Oh, wow.
Almost twice as much.
And
rents have not gone up.
That was my next question. Are rents stable, going down, or going up?
So here's where it gets very interesting, because you see vacancy creeping up. You see TI pricing going up. And yet, even with vacancy continuing to increase, rates every single quarter have increased. So we're seeing rates continue to creep up.
Really?
And it's purely because of that TI.
So they're wanting more rent, but they'll give them the TIs.
Yes, and then the ownerships, they need the higher rents, or at least hold face rates initially, in order to account for the larger TI.
And what about the duration of the leases? Are they getting longer, shorter?
So yes and no is the typical.
So I'm asking you because I am not. I mean, I dwell a little, and I'm dwelling a little in office right now.
Mhm.
That's why I'm asking you, because I'm kind of, like one or two deals I'm involved in, so I'm kind of finding out what the hell's going on.
Yeah. So what's a lot of fun for offices, we've typically always done, hey, if you want a full build out, a bunch of cool TIs, it's going to be a 7 to 10 year deal. You'll get it turnkey. It'll be great. Now companies are afraid to make that long of a term commitment because they don't know
the leaseor or the leasee.
The tenant, the leasee.
Leasee, the one looking for the space,
Yes.
does not want to commit.
They don't want to commit for that long because we're still kind of in a little period of experiment where, because of the pandemic, they're rethinking, okay, is hybrid work here to stay? Can, does everybody get their own desk, or do we have groups, A comes into work Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and group B comes in on Tuesday, Thursday, and they swap it and you have people sharing cubes.
Yeah.
That was one thing that's been tried.
I did read about that the bigger clients, like what we talked about, they're going to try to cut down future space and then share desks.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. I read that the other day.
So that's what we're seeing a ton of right now is groups are downsizing a ton. So for instance, we represented a group that was in 30,000 square feet, that their lease was up. They needed a new space. We just signed a lease with them for a 3-year term. And guess what? It was in 5,000 square feet. So they're going from 30,000 down to 5,000 square feet. And they're mainly using that 5,000 square feet, as conferencing and meeting. So it's like they do their work off site. But if you have a team meeting or you need to do culture building, you come into the office and
that's kind of
wow.
conferencing.
It's like a third of the fifth of the space.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you because I'm involved in this right now. So I was looking for a small office, kind of in the North Phoenix area, 1,500 square feet.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. Literally one. Just one in a whole circumference area I wanted. And you were telling me leasing's good,
Yes.
right? You're as busy, even though it's a high vacancy, it's not historically high.
Let me preface that with leasing is good if you're 10,000 square feet or less. So if you're a small,
which I'm involved in, but it's not as good when you're higher.
Well, there's a lot more. It's not as good depending on who you are. So if you're a tenant looking for 15 to 20,000 square feet, there's a gluttony of options.
So buyer's market, big office, seller's market, smaller. Are owners of offices not selling just like owners of multifamily because this is just a bad time to sell and it's better just lease it, make good cash flow and ride this out until things change? Because that's my market.
Yeah, and
nobody sell it.
We're not in that market yet, in that stage of the market yet. There's still transactions being
Are there?
On the capital market side. Yeah, buildings are still trading. It's just
small and big.
Small and big.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I'm not seeing a lot for sale. I'm literally in the middle of a transaction in Old Town Scottsdale where I was leasing it up, and I was going to be 100% occupied. And we got an unsolicited cash offer and took it because it was good. And now we're going to sell it.
Yep.
And now, as I was talking to you before, my partner is freaking out over what he's reading. And he's like, let's just wait and not buy another one. And I do need an office because we want to reopen our brokerage. So I do need and put the people that work for us in one. But he's like, we don't need one. We can work at home for a while.
Yeah. And
is that pretty prevalent?
It's prevalent, and I would say right now it's the smart thing to do because
I know it does make sense, right?
Yeah, because Class A trophy assets, those are trading now. There's a little,
but those are REITs, those are funds. They have to do transactions.
Exactly.
They get paid by management. That's a whole different world. They're buying them not because it's a smoking deal. It's because they got to keep transacting.
Exactly.
Tell me if I'm wrong. I'm not an expert, but I absolutely know when you put your money in a fund or a REIT, those guys only get paid by velocity and activity. Yeah. If there's nothing going on, they ain't getting paid.
Yeah. So you're dead right on that. But
okay.
Where what we're talking about is more prevalent is going to be kind of more of your Class B plus commodity office space.
And tell us what that, because I'm not familiar with the term.
So that's going to be your 50 to 125,000 square foot building that's maybe
older,
2 to 3 stories.
not new.
Older, not new, hasn't been remodeled in a few years.
But has amenities. I mean, common
Some
areas,
amenities,
lobby, elevators,
Correct.
Nice bathrooms,
Yeah,
good parking, good ingress and egress, right?
Basically your office space of your kind of your back office, commodity office space.
And that's selling or not selling?
That is the one that I think there's going to be a ton of opportunity in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
Now, we talked about, you think those are going to be the ones that might...
they're going to see some stress.
Right. And that's might be opportunity for us to take them and turn them into multifamily, which we still need.
I prefer you didn't. I'd like to sell it to you and lease it up for you.
Okay. Well, I've actually made some offers on some offices for conversion, and they just told me, no, go away. We're going to get full price. We're going to get, what we're asking. I'm like, really? Mm-hmm. On a vacant office. And these guys are like, they're not giving an inch. I'm like, okay, I'll wait.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. But I just know what we're seeing coming on the foreclosure market.
Are you seeing more?
It's starting to pick up a little bit.
And then I'm reading debts coming due,
mm-hmm.
and banks are, and tell me if I'm wrong, because I'm only reading this stuff. Debts coming due, CMBS loans. The regional and local banks, which do most of the lending, do not want to lend. Most people are pulling money out of smaller and regional banks and putting it in the big banks, so they don't have any money, mm-hmm. and nobody's borrowing because nobody wants to buy anything, so they're going bad. They're not having a good year.
And then not only that, add upon that, if someone did a 5 or a 10-year note and it refinanced when the market was a little hotter and interest rates were in the 3.5%, now they're double. So
right.
You got a loan coming in.
And still going up.
Yeah.
Possibly still going up.
Yeah. So you have to refinance, and all of a sudden your cost basis that you're in is not looking nearly as good.
So when you say there's A class and B class, is there a C class?
There is. And that's kind of more of the really obsolete product, low ceilings that that's prime for the picking for a kind of redevelopment.
Yeah, because you're not going to sell them as an office.
Yeah.
I mean, because they're just past.
Yes.
Obsolescence. Mm-hmm. What do they call it? The term. Yeah.
Yeah. You're never going to really be able to get the rents that you need.
See, that's what I want. Now, you think I want to buy one of those and just gut it. Now.
Start from scratch?
Yeah, but I mean, I like the idea of we have a shortage of workforce housing. Mm-hmm. You can't build workforce housing because the land and to build it is too expensive. So the deal that we're doing with your father, it's going to be luxury product because it's going to be a Biltmore area. It's going to be a high rise. It's going to be I can't afford to build workhouse, but if I have a structural building in place and I can buy the land and the building, and it fits what I need, where I can put bathrooms and kitchens. I have, enough windows to face out. I can make bedrooms. And I like the idea of a common area, a common hall, a common lobby. I make amenities for that type. I can charge less and fulfill the need for, especially in areas that need it. Yeah, they're building them on the west, but they need them in Scottsdale. They need it in Tempe. They need it in Biltmore. They need it in that's where all the services, the restaurants, hotels that can't afford $2,500 a month or $1,500 for a one. They need, $800, $1,000, mm-hmm. but I can't find anything. I want to build it, and I know there's a need for it. I just can't find those yet. So you're saying they will be there?
Yes. Yeah, I said they will be there. As a matter of fact, we should talk after this.
We should, because I really do have the funds. I really do have the people that can do it. I just can't find the product. Mm-hmm. And I think that is the way to do it, to build the housing that we need. I can't build it from the ground up because I'm a developer and I know what it's costing me per square foot and what the land and what I need to get the rent. But an office or a retail center that's, a single level that I can make into, I think that's the wave of the, when things come back, that's, I think, what we're going to need. Yeah, okay, good. So we will talk when we're done.
Hey, Terry, we need to take a little bit of a break because we need to mention our sponsor. Our sponsor is Pioneer Title. Our good friends, Eric and Allie,
who I
Allie
talked to
Coley.
this morning.
Yeah. So we're gonna have a short commercial break, and we'll
A funny story about Allie before we go to our break.
She likes
So
wine.
I go, how's our deal going? And she goes, I don't know. So I said, okay, Allie, a couple things. My title agent telling me I don't know about a deal does not make me happy or warm and fuzzy. Second of all, you are complaining about me and I'm bringing you business. So you were complaining to me and not bringing you business. I'm bringing you business. You don't know what's going on. And you're giving me a hard time. I said, I'm not happy with this. So we need to agree on a different path. No, it literally happened before I came here.
Well, 99% of the time, Allie does fine.
Yeah, no, I know. But I just was like, give me a break here. You yelled at me for not bringing your business. I just handed you $2 million worth of business and you're yelling at me. So,
I think this is your side of the story.
I know. No, yeah, probably, but all right. All
Okay,
right.
so this is our commercial. We'll be back in just a second.
We're back.
Okay, we're back.
Right.
And if you're just joining us, we're talking to Gregg Kafka. He's a principal at Lean Associates, and he works with commercial real estate. And we're finding out about A, B, and C properties, and C ones are the worst. And hopefully there'll be some deals in the future.
All right, so let's get to your question too, which I would have asked anyway. What's your biggest challenge? And I always ask it, are you optimistic on the next year or two, or are you a little pessimistic on the next year or two? Economy as a whole.
Yeah, no worries.
And specific to office.
I am more apathetic. I actually think that we're going to just be kind of in the next 18 to 24 months or so, we're going to be in a leveling off period.
Okay.
As far as office space goes. I think the biggest challenge we're seeing right now, we hinted at a little bit before, is 90% of its construction pricing. That's going to be the cornerstone of
and supply side, and getting the supply same. Okay.
Yeah. So a great anecdote about that is ownership groups that during the quarantine, the pandemic, that we were advising all of our ownership groups, hey, now is a great time. The buildings are empty. Do all of your common area remodels now. Build every vacancy.
You couldn't find anything.
Yeah. So that way we're ready when the logjam breaks free and people come back. The ownership groups that did that not only saved about 50% of construction costs. They've also leased up a lot faster. The only I mentioned earlier, the 10,000 square feet and less is the market that's hot. That space is leasing quickly if it's spec, because of the hybrid work scenario that I also mentioned previously. Since it's more of an experiment, groups only want to sign 3 to 5 year leases instead of the 7 to 10, because if hybrid doesn't work out well for them, they need to bring everybody. I think need to bring everybody back. They need the flexibility to get out of their lease and go find bigger space again. And so with that, they're needing space ASAP, which means you've got to be built out and spec.
And you were saying before we were on, not an oversupply. Just in multifamily, there is going to be an oversupply, a short-term oversupply.
Yeah, that's been
right. Nothing new in office.
Benefits for our recovery.
Now, what about all these malls? They're building multi.
At Paradise Valley Mall.
That's going to have office, right?
Yeah.
And Metro Center is going to have office, and Mesa, they're doing something down there. So there is. I mean, that's pretty big supply, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mixed use. What I was trying to say.
But still, those are still in the only one that's under construction right now is at Paradise Valley Mall, and they're just building up the multifamily right now.
So everybody's building mixed use, so it's a success. Retail, multifamily, office in one area. It seems to be the way.
Yes, yeah. Office space is going to work very, very well in conjunction with highly amenitized space. So,
what about deals? Have you noticed? I have noticed deal amount in numbers have gone down. I've read it in the reports I see. I mean, they're deals, but it's way down.
On the sales side, absolutely.
Okay.
It's funny, I was actually talking with some friends that I have in title that who haven't told me they don't know what's going on. That they're getting 60 to 65% of what they were doing this time last year.
Yeah.
That's in escrow. So things have slowed down significantly in the sales side.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that was my comments about the mall. Like, we're not going to see malls anymore. We're just going to see mixed use.
Well, it makes sense.
Living.
Yeah, it does make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think those days of just malls. I mean, they're knocking them down right and left.
Yeah, and it's exactly what they did when I mentioned the Santa Monica place. Back in my Macerich days. It was kind of almost what they did there, ripping the roof off of it and making it more of an outdoor center.
Yeah.
That's just the way of the future. And Westcore also.
Well, the little I see in houses, a lot of places now, when you buy a house, a lot of people are just taking the house, knocking it down, and building more because put more density on it. They're not taking advantage of all the land now. So I'm seeing a lot of that, especially on higher priced areas. Anything small, just raise it, get rid of it.
There's a house on my cul-de-sac that was raised and built, and they're actually almost done with it. They should be done with it in about 3 or 4 weeks, and then just right around the corner from me.
Yeah, it's crazy what they do. So
I literally came home from work on a Friday, didn't do much over the weekend, and then on Monday when I went to go to work again, the house was gone.
Yeah, they can knock it down pretty good. So we're trying to limit our time here because sometimes we go too long, and we're told try to keep the podcast to a little more like our 45. So we're at the 40-minute mark. So any closing remarks about office and for small we mostly cater to small investors. What's your I mean, I'm brutally honest, so I'm telling buyers I wouldn't buy right now.
I would. I think just keep your eyes open for opportunities in the next 12 to 18 months.
That's what I say too.
It's the Class B, like I said, the Class B and C product that's starting to see some stress. So if you haven't, like I said, if you haven't remodeled the office space to make it enticing for people to come
do it
back,
now.
There's a flight to quality that's happening where I guess these 30,000 square foot groups that are going down to 5,000 square feet. They're keeping a similar budget, so they're going from Class B space into the Class A plus trophy assets to get people back and still saving money. So that's just putting this flight to quality in the Class A product is really going to put vacancy and then stress on this Class B and C product. So that's where I think you need to keep your eyes open for opportunities there, and especially. If you've got the cash, you'll be able to potentially pick up a product at a really good price, and if you can have the reserves to remodel it in order to bring people in, you can find some deals out there for sure.
What about just a closing remark? What is the cap rate of deals you're seeing on current transactions of smaller offices?
No problem. Smaller offices, we've got a small. 60,000 square foot building, multi-tenant building that we've got.
I wouldn't call that small, but okay. I'm thinking like 5,000 square feet. Yeah.
Well, I'll just finish this one. The other one is we're going to be at about a 7.5 to 9 cap rate.
That's not bad.
Get out of here.
Yeah,
on actual leases? Mm-hmm. That's amazing. That's twice what we're getting.
Well, considering it was as little as a year ago that similar
actual
would have been about a 6
income versus actual expenses, duration. Wow.
Yeah, that is and somewhere between the 7 and 9.
And the sellers are okay with that. I'm still in the 4 and 5 range. That's shocked.
Not bad. That's some good.
Wow.
That's
okay.
A good category.
And what about the smaller office?
So smaller office, that's actually been. Just touch on this real quick because like office condo type product, if it's 5,000 square feet or less,
that's occupied with the tenant.
That market's on fire. Absolutely.
So it's way lower.
Much lower. But mainly it's not looked at a cap rate wise. It's mainly owner users that are gobbling up.
Well, that's different. There's no cap rate there. But what about a 2,000 square foot office with a tenant that's in there 5 years? What, 6?
You'll be in that same 6 to 7.
6 to 7.
Yeah, maybe touching on 8 depending on the credit.
I can't even get a deal at 6.
That's not bad.
I literally cannot find a deal on actuals at 6.
Yeah.
5.5 maybe. It's amazing.
There's a few out there right now that are marketing at about 5.5 to 6 caps, but when you start digging into it, they'll end at 7.
Are lenders lending on office?
It's slowed down, but they are still lending. You just have to loan to value's gone up.
To what?
So almost 50-50.
Yeah. Okay. We're seeing that too. most of my buyers are looking to put down 50 to 60
Yeah.
from a 1031.
So the days of 20% down are gone.
20, 30, yeah. Okay, yeah. You could kind of make it work if you're putting that much down, a little better than if you're putting 20 to 30. So
exactly.
And there's no D classes, right? Which is A, B, and C. There's no
Correct.
D, right?
Correct.
So I know you want to promote your website and stuff, but kind of I don't know much. I know about Lee and Associates, but I don't really know anything about Lee. Tell us just a little bit before we're done.
Oh, yeah.
A minute or so. What stuff do you offer at Lee and Associates?
Not a problem. We're full service brokerage all the way, and it's only brokerage. That's what we specialize in.
No management.
We don't do property
But you do
management.
leasing.
We just do leasing and sales.
Okay.
Strictly brokerage. We can handle whether it's office, industrial, retail, land. We can.
You do them all.
We do.
You do them all. Okay.
And we were founded in 1991, and we're consistently one of the top 3 producing offices in Lee and Associates.
And you're nationwide.
Correct.
So is Lee? Where's your headquarters?
That's where we're a little different. We're basically individually owned.
Okay.
By the
Like a
principals
franchise. Okay.
of each office. So we're kind of like a franchise model.
I hate to bring this up, and I don't need to get specific, but I teach part-time at Arizona School of Real Estate. I was supposed to teach a disclosure class at Lee and Associates, and they canceled the class the day of the class. One of the partners passed away.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, that was
when Rick Lee
a little while ago. Yeah, so I was supposed to teach that day, and they called me and said, "No, we're
not a good day for you to come."
No. But I don't know who he is, but I felt kind of bad because
great guy.
I was happy because the idea of teaching a bunch of seasoned agent that was a little intimidating to me. Normally, I'm just teaching renewal, and they go, "Well, we want you to teach disclosure at Lee and Associates." I'm like, "Lee and Associates?" That's kind of a.
Oh, come on, we're nice guys.
So, no, you're nice guys, but you're pretty sharp guys. You're my competitor, basically, and I'm like, you want me to teach them? They probably end up teaching me.
That's funny.
Yeah, so it worked out good. I didn't have. I mean, I would have liked to have done it.
For some subterfuge.
I would have. No, my main point was I probably would have met a lot of interesting people that would have helped. That was the main reason, because they only gave me a couple days warning.
Mm-hmm.
When the other teacher couldn't do it, but I said, yeah, I'll do it. I'll be unprepared, but I probably have fun with the people and learn some stuff and make some nice connections in the group.
Yeah.
But okay, well, that's interesting to know. So okay.
Well, good stuff. Well,
yeah.
Thank you, Greg, for coming in today.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for having me.
Again, our guest was Gregg Kafka. He's a principal at Lee & Associates, commercial real estate. And the website is coppolachaney.com. Is that correct?
Correct, yeah. Coppola Cheney.
Yeah. Has anything else you want to promote or plug?
No, that's all I got. Just visit Coppola Cheney, learn a little bit more about our team. If they have any questions about the commercial real estate market, happy to be a resource for anyone that wants to learn.
Okay.
Awesome. Good stuff.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, everybody, for listening. This was Arizona Rising, the Phoenix podcast. And next week, do we have a guest?
Yes.
Laura?
Walt Strazia.
Walt Strazia.
Good
Sounds
friend
like
of mine.
Terry knows this guy.
Apartments, triple net, retail, office. He's an investor in all of them.
Oh, he's an
Interesting background. He used to own a
entrepreneur.
couple of hobby stores in Seattle.
Yeah, what,
Yeah.
like Hobby Lobby or what?
Yeah, no, like model cars, model
Radio
trains,
control
stuff like
planes,
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, where I think he made his money to invest here. He's done real well. Be an interesting guy. And a
Nice.
good pickleball player.
Well, he'll be here next week.
Okay.
Okay, everybody, thanks again for listening. And thanks again for Gregg Kafka for coming in. And we'll talk to you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. If you have any ideas, feedback, or guests you'd like for us to have on our show, please comment below or email us at terry@blueswarrealty.com.